While amongst some of the wealthiest human beings who have ever lived, the Vanderbilts were considered new money in their day. Newly rich families of the Gilded Age were a bit more showy than their old moneyed counterparts in society. They were part of a culture of self-styled American royalty. When visiting, one walks under horns of plenty on the front portico and experiences a home full of symbols representing prosperity and power. Indeed, the Vanderbilt family has been referred to as the American Medici, American merchant princes. The Vanderbilt Mansion National Historic Site was the first National Park Service house museum to come with intact furnishings. Most of the objects you'll find in this house are original. Objects of art are placed throughout this home, and if something looks uncomfortable, it probably wasn't used. As you visit the rooms, you'll find that prominent architects Mead and White, interior decorators, European furniture dealers, and craftsmen created a fantasy realm full of reinterpretations of old world noble aesthetics.
The Vanderbilt family excelled in a culture that emphasized reputation and valued appearances. It was a life filled with etiquette and complex social protocols. The parties of the time were no different. After hours of extensive fine dining, which might contain a dozen courses, the ladies and gentlemen would typically split up and withdraw to separate spaces for digestion, relaxation, and conversation, later rejoining each other for the evening's entertainment. Here, men would drink brandy, cognac, or other fine spirits, smoke a cigar or two, perhaps a pipe, and talk about their businesses, hobbies, and sporting activities. It's a place where status-driven individuals could engage in friendly one-upsmanship and forge business relationships. To that end, the room has masculine-themed decorations. It's a counterpart to the feminine French design of the gold reception room across the hall, a den with Germanic flair and a Gothic atmosphere. Hand-worked Santo Domingo mahogany is prevalent throughout the room, in use as 4-inch thick paneling, ceiling arches, and intricate carvings.
In many Gilded Age homes, the staircase was front and center, the first thing you see when entering. They were designed to be grand and imposing. Only specialized employees, like the butlers and ladies' maids, had regular access to the first and second floors. Most servants were intended to be invisible until needed. Additionally, staff were instructed not to speak loudly on the servants' staircase in order to avoid being disruptive. Doors were usually kept shut and locked to prevent accidental interaction between the guests and the employees. It was the head housekeeper that had the keys. Her apartment is located at the top of these stairs, where she could oversee the female servants' wing in the evening. Her office is at the bottom, where she could manage the mansion's operations during the day.
Of course, I might say before your arrival, the various household departments would be informed to do everything possible for your comfort. The housekeeper would be notified as to what room you was to occupy. Menus from the chef would be admitted and approved. The butler would be informed as to the wines and glass and china to be used. And there'd be one of the under butlers detailed to be your personal attendant to take care of your personal needs, pack your bag, look after your clothes. And as your car came around the bend in the drive, your host and hostess would be notified who were sitting in the den waiting for you. And by the time that you arrived at the front door, You would see them on the steps, waiting to extend a cordial welcome to you. You no doubt would turn and look east and express words of admiration for the beautiful lawn and the trees that you would see. You would then be taken into the living room where tea would be served. And after a length of time, you would be asked if you would like to retire to your room to rest. Not wishing to do so, your host would suggest taking a little walk, looking at the view of the river, coming back in ample time to dress for dinner. Guests may have been invited to meet you for dinner, or possibly the host and hostess may think they'd like to dine alone with you and spend a quiet evening. After dinner, you would have a game of cards, or sit and talk, or read. Before you retired, the night before, your hostess would ask you if you preferred to have breakfast in your room on a tray, or if you would like to come down to the dining room. So that it'd be up to you to decide which way about it. You would naturally understand that your host and hostess would be upstairs in their rooms for breakfast, so you would naturally prefer to stay in your own room. On the other hand, you might want to get up early and say, well, I'll get dressed early and come down and have breakfast in the dining room and take a walk before you get around. We're talking about now if you were alone. Of course, if you was many of you, say 5 or 6 gentlemen or so, well, you'd say, oh, yes, I'll come down for breakfast. All right, I'll join you. Next one will say, I'll join you. First thing, you're all down for breakfast. On the other hand, one might say, well, I'm going to have breakfast upstairs. Well, so the one says, well, I'll do the same, and that's how it goes. So you might all stay upstairs. Just how the thing went.
Yeah, let's go.